Doom Eternal has just been released to the world and people have been learning very, very quickly that this game is hard. Even on lower difficulties, enemies have more health, greater numbers, and will very quickly overwhelm you should you fail to utilise all the tools at your disposal, namely the chainsaw, the flame belcher, and of course your extensive weapon arsenal. Now, not all enemies are created equal, of course. They go from slightly bothersome to, oh my god, id you complete c***, what were you thinking? I'm looking at you, Arachnotron. Chief among these are, of course, the bosses. Now, if you haven't finished Doom Eternal yet and you want to discover these for yourself, then I suggest coming back after completing the game. There's your spoiler warning. Also, a couple of these Bethesda don't technically class as bosses, however, they do have their own cutscenes and health bars for your first encounter with them, and they are just as tough as any quote-unquote proper boss in the game, so they're on the list. These are our personal opinions. You might completely disagree with our assessments, so feel free to let us know in the comments if that is the case. With that said, I'm James, this is Invicta Gaming, and these are the top 5 Doom Eternal bosses ranked. Starting off with number 5, the Gladiator. Lurking at the end of Sentinel Prime is this horned, angry beast. Wielding a large shield, which also looks very angry by the way, the Gladiator has a range of attacks to very, very quickly deplete your health bar should you not be paying careful attention. Between throwing his shield, conjuring support demons, and this weird wave thing that he does, which plays out a bit like a game of jump rope, the Gladiator, while hard, is ultimately fairly predictable in his attacks. The eyes on his shield flash green when he's about to attack you, giving you a heads up on when to strike. By this point in the game, you'll have seen this trick already, and should be able to adjust the timing fairly quickly. Once you've pissed him off significantly enough, he'll discard his shield after a nice glory kill animation and decide it's time to get stuck in with his mace. The second stage of this boss fight is harder than the first, but if you can hold your nerve and dodge his range attacks, then you should be able to move in for the final kill. Good going. At number 4, it's the boss who just doesn't bloody die, requiring a total of 6 deaths to finally relent. I am of course talking about the Doom Hunter. He's the first proper boss you'll come up against roughly halfway through the game, and his fight is broken into 2 stages. Riding atop a hovering board of sorts, the Doom Hunter was clearly modelled after Zurg from Toy Story, and will require you to first weaken his shield with your plasma gun before leaving himself open to your attacks. You can actually circumvent this procedure by first destroying his hover buggy, irreparably damaging his shield, forcing him to face you man to man. Or man to demon. You'll have to get both his health bars down, and after damaging it enough, you're transported to arena number 2 for the second half of the fight. This time, there's 2 of him, and each one of them has 2 health bars, see what I mean? All the while, you'll have to contend with a metric ton of other demons crowding you and attempting to hinder your efforts. If you can vanquish them, however, you'll eventually be treated to a satisfying cutscene where you essentially kick the crap out of his boss, who he's charged with protecting, rendering the Doom Hunter not only dead, but bad at his job. Next. At number 3, it's everybody's least favourite weird deer looking lady who prides herself in spelling both words in her name incorrectly, the Khan Maker. Now, she is one tough cookie. In fact, she's only at number 3 given how stiff the competition is. In most games, she'd easily be atop the list. Mrs. Maker's fight involves extensive use of my favourite weapon, however, the grappling hook shotgun. You'll have to use your full range of weapons to deplete her health, opening up a very small window where you'll be able to grapple up to her and punch her in her weird deer looking face. This is made quite troublesome, however, because the arena is slowly filling up with lightning bolts, creating the floor is lava type situation, and you'll be constantly under attack from her maker drones that she sends after you. Also, if you happen to stop attacking her for longer than a couple of seconds, she'll instantly recharge all of her health, meaning you've got to start the whole process all over again. Couple this with a lack of ammo in the environment, and you've got one very tough encounter. Moving on to number 2, and perhaps controversially, but I've not chosen to put the final boss, aka the Icon of Sin, at number 1. More on that later. This, however, does not mean the Icon of Sin is anything less than a total bitch to fight. By this point, Doom knows you know its mechanics, it knows you know its tricks, and it knows that it needs to send everything it has at you to really bring it home that this is the final boss fight. And throw it does. Every nasty demon, every nasty mini-boss, everyone is invited to the party, and guess what? You're the guest of honour. Lucky you. Towering above you is an enemy modelled on what some would say is the darkest depiction of the devil, known as Baphomet. The Icon of Sin not only bears a striking resemblance to this bull-headed horror, it's also wearing a lot of armour that you'll have to shoot off piece by piece to deplete one of its many health bars, while the whole bloody world caves in around you. By now you know the drill. Defeat him once, hop into a portal for the second half of the fight, and do it all over again, this time with even tougher enemies. This fight will challenge you to dig deep and multitask at lightning speed. If you make it out to the other side in one piece, however, then it fades in with an epic voiceover and cutscene signifying the end of the game. Well done for surviving Doom Eternal. Okay, here it is, number 1, and I'm sure you all know by now who I am talking about. And again, while technically not a boss, this guy is literally the worst thing ever created by human beings ever. We need to have a word. This is the Marauder. Where to even begin? As Skillup rightly pointed out in his excellent review, this guy demands every ounce of your attention and can only be defeated after mastering his very, very small timing windows. At all ranges, he is deadly. Run too far and he'll throw projectile shields at you, not to mention sending an angry, flaming, weird fox dog thing to chase you. Too close and he'll backhand you with a fist of fury. He can close distance in a split second, and in enclosed spaces he is especially difficult to fight. Your only chance of victory is to listen for the audio cues before he strikes and to keep him at the mid-distance. His eyes do flash green as an additional indicator, but honestly, listening for the sound seemed to be way more effective for me. The super shotgun also works best if you ask me, and it has the greatest spread, requiring the least precision in your shots. But essentially, there is no easy way to cheese it. You just have to learn his attacks and keep him at the correct distance to stand any chance of survival. The Marauder does pop up later in the game, however at least then you're better equipped with more health and bigger arenas to fight him, meaning that every single Doom Eternal player will undoubtedly look back at their first encounter with this with very unpleasant memories, and that is why the Marauder tops our list.